Gary, go for it, mate.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Jingly-Jangly on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. Your weekly dose of political spills and esoteric thrills. With me, your host, Gary Branson, Senior American Political Correspondent. Olly Connolly and Piers currently keeping an eye on things in London. Special thanks to Mona Radley, our very own feral hippie. It's 1 o'clock here in California, 4 p.m. Eastern and 9 p.m. London time. For those listening at home, the call-in number is 310-421-4053, and we look forward to hearing from you. Also, if you like what we're doing here on Revolution Radio, you can support the cause by going to the Support Us tab at freedomslips.com and kick in a few $million to help keep the signal getting out. This is a listener broadcast, and if you want more of this, help make that happen. Let's get on with it, shall we? Piers, Olly, what's going on here in London town?
Yo!
How you doing, brother?
Hey, Gary.
Doing all right.
Oh, hey, it's another quiet news week, eh?
Oh, yeah, not much going on.
It's boring.
Yeah, I wish something would happen. I mean, God, you know, I'm missing some interesting news. You know, it'd be nice to have something to talk about, you know, other than just what I had for lunch.
Just
Gary,
kidding.
how are you, mate?
I'm doing great. I'm hosting the show this week, which is so much fun. My first time hosting a radio show. How am I doing, everyone?
Very well indeed.
To Revolution Radio.
You're our hero, Gary, mate. God bless you.
Can you turn him up a bit? I can't
So
hear.
this week, we got the inauguration going on. We got Obama's legacy being cemented/destroyed. Tell me what's going on, guys.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've summed it up, and we're all wondering whether or not Donald Trump's going to be able to see it through tomorrow. And you know, we're placing, you know, we want people to phone in with odds on whether or not they think the guy's going to get taken out. I would have thought that, you know, I've been reading stuff online about how the security is, and it sounds like it's absolutely crazy. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's wearing, you know, bulletproof socks.
He's wearing a bulletproof jockstrap, I'll bet.
Bulletproof finger pads, bulletproof earmuffs, bulletproof glasses. I don't know. The guy's just going to be a walking, talking, bulletproof dude. You know, I mean, it's going to be like he's going to be surrounded by bodyguards. I wouldn't be surprised if he's, you know, got like a Pope-mobile permanently strapped to him. You know, like with a glass. You know, so nobody can actually take him out. It's going to be extraordinary. It's. You know, I mean, it's an unprecedented.
It's awful, though, isn't it, to be talking about a president of the U.S. and wondering if the guy's going to be assassinated before he's even been elected. What does that tell us about modern politics?
Nothing
we live in
good.
The Wild West.
Really,
Right?
What it tells you is
we have very stupid people in our country.
I can't hear that.
Gary, your level there is a bit low. Okay, people, we need to have a bit of an understanding with our wonderful revolutionary audience here that we're playing with all sorts of different production techniques here, and they may or may not work, but you know, bear with us. But Gary, mate, just on using your clips, you're going to need to turn your level up a little bit more, mate.
We have leaders that don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't hear that. It's a sort of a muffle in the background, but I'm sure it's very funny.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
It's a shame. It is a shame.
That's going to get used a lot for the next 4 years.
It is a shame.
It is a shame. He still
Oh,
sounds a little bit
it's-
in the distance, but what the hell? Never mind. Yeah, but it is. You know.
Next week, I'll be all over that soundboard. You're
Yeah,
going to tell
no
me to
problem,
shut up
dude.
every 3 seconds next week.
That's
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You know what? I mean, this Skype thing is temperamental. It's weird because I got to say, for the benefit of again our audience, it's really odd because we've been talking to Gary a few times over the course of the last couple of days, trying to basically organize this show because Gary is hosting tonight, and he is basically we're trying to get this to work between us, but we call Gary or Gary calls us, and we can't hear the other person. And then immediately doing exactly the same procedure, we call each other, and then we can hear each other. And it's just it's weird, I mean, if there was a word for it, it would begin with F, end with K, and then have Eri on the end. Like there's some sort of a weird thing going on. But anyway, Gary, what do you want to know, mate? We're here. We're at your disposal.
The usual ritual for making it work is to say, bad box, no work, need bigger hammer.
Just smash it and hope that solves the problem. That's my methodology behind anything technical, I'm afraid. Just bash it.
We're learning, unless it is the G6.
Speaking of batching it, it's time to talk about the inauguration.
Oh,
It
blimey.
certainly is. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Has it been 8 years already?
It has been 8 years.
I mean, 8 years of what though? I mean, what's this guy Obama actually done? I mean, he's what?
Gary, go on. What is it?
Well,
What do you want to know? What do you want to know about the inauguration? You're the U.S. correspondent, mate. You tell us.
I know, but I'm hosting this week, so
Oh,
you guys
God.
are the guys in the background.
So you're
pulling up
expecting a couple of Brits to
to talk about?
No.
I thought you kicked us out.
So we've got the let's see, what do we got? The Trump education nominee Betsy DeVos lying to the Senate. We've got all of Trump's cabinet picks. A lot of musicians telling him no, they won't perform at his inauguration. It's a mess. It's going to be awesome to watch.
Yeah, John Kerry's refused to go to the inauguration as well, hasn't
he?
Is
he really?
Yeah.
John Kerry?
Yeah.
How unprofessional is that? Isn't he Secretary of State? Isn't he supposed to be putting America first?
Well,
he's not going to be the Secretary of State as of the inauguration, so he's
True.
like, peace out.
He can kick back and put his slippers on and his gym jams and watch it on the telly. Are
they throwing their toys out of the pram again? I mean, okay, Gary, you tell us, mate. Who is boycotting the inauguration that should be there?
Let's see. Representative Ellis is boycotting. Who else is doing this?
There's loads. I mean, let's face it. It's going to be
a bunch of them.
Do they not boycott every inauguration, though? I mean, is it really such a big deal?
It's not all that many inaugurations get full-blown boycotted. Because
is it full-blown?
Frequently in the past, elections have been a bit more legitimate than this time around, or really the last several. I mean, we're really losing confidence in the accuracy of our electoral levers of power and who has control over them. So
yes.
I think we're going to just see this getting worse and worse over time.
Do you think there are going to be riots tomorrow? I mean, do you think Washington's going to be a bloodbath? I mean, do you think there are going to be full-blown riots in the street?
Are we going to see George Soros in an anonymous mask?
Now, here's the thing about George Soros. Why have I not been hearing anything about Charles and David Koch in the last year?
The Koch brothers.
Those guys, the Koch brothers. Yeah. They have gone seriously under the radar for the last year.
Have you got any Koch sound effect, Gary? We need a Koch sound effect here.
Coke, not cock.
Cock-a-doodle-doo. Oh, Coke.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
Have a Coke. Speaking of Coke, you guys had some chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. My
Tell me
flatmate's
about
just
this
got
chocolate you've got.
Yeah, my flatmate's just got back from Bolivia, and she was kind enough to bring me some Bolivian chocolate infused with coca leaves. So Ollie and I have liberally been chewing on this before the show.
She's a classic CIA asset.
In the vain hope that something might trigger during the show. We'll be able to climb up mountains, and, what have you. And
snorting the chocolate. Is that what it is?
That's right. I'm just sort of chopping it up into sort of snortable little portions.
Have you ever tried to snort chocolate, Gary? Aye.
What? I mean, it is Thursday already.
Well, yeah, we're getting there. I might try it tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Oh, no. If you can't snort chocolate by Thursday afternoon.
Actually, that's a good point. I'm going to be with my mum tomorrow. I'm not in Spain this week because I'm in the UK. I've come to see my mum, and I passed by Piers to say hi and to do this show with you guys and what have you. So I don't think I'm going to be snorting any chocolate with my mother tomorrow night. I just wanted to point that out.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, she doesn't like chocolate.
No, she doesn't like chocolate. She likes to snort other things.
That was kind of what I was saying.
Outrageous.
Well, I going back to the inauguration, I think, I think there's going to be trouble in the streets tomorrow. I think there's going to be a lot of liberal whining going on, and there's going to be a lot of bikers there, and a lot of
Republican whining as well, by the sounds of it.
I think it's going to be something.
There's going to be a lot of Republican whining.
I think the inauguration. I think the idea is to create so much havoc that the inauguration will basically be overlooked. Donald Trump will be there trying to make his speech or whatever, and everybody will be just making such a racket and causing so much havoc outside that.
I read a headline that 250,000. Okay, this was in the mainstream media, like fake news people. But I heard, read a headline. I had a red line too. That 250,000 people were going to be on the streets protesting tomorrow in DC. Gary, that cannot be true, surely. 250,000 people, that just sounds ridiculous. Soros, I know his pockets are big, but that sounds kind of crazy.
Well, I think people.
No, there's a lot going on. There's a Wolfpack meeting going on.
What's
you
that?
guys familiar with Wolfpack? It's the political action committee that is looking to get the 28th Amendment passed and get money out of politics.
Right. Well, that's a good cause,
publicly funded.
That's a good cause.
It's a beautiful thing.
But surely they should be backing Trump because he had no major backers behind him.
Did.
Apparently. Well,
he didn't raise as much money as Clinton did, but he wasn't self-funded, that's for sure.
No, he wasn't, was he?
I mean, he was
until the primary, no?
Do we know
he
where
was
political funding
self-funding
came from?
during the primary, and then as soon as it shifted, as soon as he clinched the nomination and started having the RNC, Republican National Committee, start paying for some of their headquarters,
sure,
which were in Trump Tower.
Yes.
During the primary, when Trump was paying for everything, rent for the RNC headquarters in Trump Tower was something like $30,000 a month.
Well, just to guard the golden lift.
Yeah, exactly. They had a floor. They had a whole floor on Trump Tower at $30,000 a month. Okay. Once it started getting paid for on the RNC's dime, he bumped it up to like 128,000.
You're joking me.
I am in no way joking.
Now, hold on.
Having said that, that's still small change when it comes to an election campaign. I mean,
is, yeah.
You can blow that in 2 seconds when you're running an election campaign.
Yeah, that's a couple of ads.
I mean, that's relatively small fry. I mean, it's nothing like the kind of backing that the Clintons got through the Clinton Foundation, and the fact that the Clintons have now closed their donations from overseas operations.
Whoa! You're changing the subject, Piers. Hold on. We're putting Trump in the dock at the moment. Yes, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, there was nothing like as much money raised.
It wasn't a very large dollar amount in the grand picture, but it was indicative of how Trump is going to be. When it's on his dime, it's 30 grand. When it's on somebody else's dime, it's 120 some odd grand. So
that is a very interesting thing. Where did you get that information, though, Gary? Where did you get that information? Out of interest.
It was in the news. I can pull up a link and.
It's just so hard to know what to believe about anything at all.
Well,
really.
That's the sort of thing that can be checked easily. So it's hard to just straight up lie about something so small ball and easily checked. When you're doing propaganda, you got to lie about the grand and vague things.
Yes.
You don't lie about $100,000.
Yeah, you lie about Russia. You say, yeah, we've got the
exactly.
evidence, but we're not going to give it to you because it's all top secret and
Right.
confidential. But you just got to believe us.
He's so cynical, isn't he? He's such a cynic.
Me, not at all. I think I'm a realist. I mean, they make anything that they don't want us to know about, or whenever they're lying to us, they just say it's confidential. Sorry, we can't see the evidence.
Oh, but it's not in our interest to know, Piers. I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's going to be interesting because Trump's trying to open up these White House briefings, isn't he, to other news outlets, not just the standard mainstream, journalists that have been turning up to these press briefings on a regular basis for years. He wants to start adding. I'm wondering if he's going to let Alex Jones go to some of these Washington D.C. press briefings. I mean, can you imagine? I know Trump is quite friendly with him, and it'll be very interesting, with Alex Jones. And I'm wondering if Alex Jones will send one of his correspondents down if Trump lets him. Because Alex Jones did a lot of support for Trump leading up to the election, and apparently Trump phoned him personally to thank him for his efforts post his candidacy, and he's at war with a lot of these mainstream media outlets. Who's to say he won't let something like Alex Jones and Infowars.com into the Washington?
Well,
White House pit.
He did go on Alex's show, didn't he, a few times? I mean, they actually know each other quite well. They're fairly pally. That's actually not improbable, is it?
What do you think, Gary?
Sorry, I was looking at this article about the number of bus parking permits.
He wasn't listening to us at all.
Not at all. I was letting you guys talk. Go
ahead. Talk. Well, it is interesting.
What I was looking at,
it's curious.
There was something like 200 bus parking permits for Trump's inauguration for like pro-Trump demonstrations, and for stuff the next day, 1,200 bus parking permit requests for anti-Trump protests. So
really?
6 times as many people looking to protest Trump as looking to support Trump.
If that was an indication of democracy, then it would be very, very telling. I wonder how much it is an indication of democracy.
I don't think it's.
I guess though the Trumpists, if you like, the trumpeters. We should call them trumpeters, shouldn't we? People that support Trump.
Yes, we should.
I suppose that they know that he's going to be the president, so they don't need to protest. I guess that it makes sense that there'll be a lot more anti-protests than pro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I mean, the screaming liberals are the ones that are going to want to sort of vent their spleens at the inauguration. So, of course, they're going to be far more greater in number, enthused and motivated to go down and cause havoc than the ones that are sort of quietly happy that Trump's going to get elected. So it's sort of, that doesn't surprise me at all. It's just how much.
It's actually for the Women's March the next day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really? Well, that definitely deserves a bit of attendance, judging by some of the comments he's alleged to have made. But on the other hand, we're talking again. We're coming back to locker room talk, aren't we? I mean, to be honest with you, I was here last night with old Piers, and I think that one or two of the things that we said, we might be regarded as even more, male than Donald Trump, who also is male. I mean, I'm only saying that, I don't mean to offend any women there, but you know what? I got something swinging between my legs, and you've got something equally lovely in a completely opposite kind of a way. I'm just saying.
What are you saying? I got an innie?
Hey, yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the weather, how cold it is.
Whether I've just been to the
Oliver
beach.
lives right by the ocean. He suffers from, coming out of the sea after a swim syndrome.
Yeah, man of Atlantis stuff and all that. And then I come to London and it's half the size. No, I'm not talking about any of that. I don't know. Anyway,
we're having a show about your private parts.
No, we're not talking about. Yeah.
No, but what you're trying to say is that men in privacy will say things that they wouldn't dream of saying in the presence of the fairer sex, and is that or isn't that a bad thing? I mean, let's face it. I'm sure ladies, when they're alone, denigrate and talk about men in disparaging ways and say things that they'd never say in the presence of men, or wouldn't choose to in polite conversation.
But it doesn't actually mean.
But it doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's just, why do we have to talk in a politically correct way the entire time?
Hold on, we're changing the subject.
No, we're not. I mean, it's basically.
We don't have to be politically correct all the time, but this is the President of the United States.
That's a good point. You put it well.
He's not some guy doing a radio show somewhere. He's the guy with the nuclear codes.
Yeah, but he's not going to be testing out
a big deal.
The nuclear codes.
But no, but what we're trying to get to the bottom of is was he, should he have been as denigrated as he was for making that kind of
yeah, but he does have a big he does, I don't know, I mean, but the bottom line though really is that all of this is irrelevant as to whether or not he gets the United States of America back on track. I mean, that really is the issue. That's really what people surely were voting for, those ones that voted for Trump, hopefully.
Well, there's a lot of...
So let's talk about what he's going to do to get America back on track. He's appointing as Secretary of Education someone who has never been to public school, did not put her children through public school, and has donated $200 million toward the cause of Christian charter schools. And what that is about is privatization of our school systems. And what they're trying to do is strangle all the resources that public education gets, cause it to degrade its performance, and then use that as justification for saying, see, public schools don't work, let's privatize. And it's the same that they do with all privatization. Once there's a profit motive involved in something that really should not have a profit motive, they start cutting corners and everything goes to hell.
Like the prison service in America. I mean, that's turned
into...
that's totally
it's the slave trade, isn't it?
It is the slave trade. I mean, you've only got to watch Orange is the New Black on Netflix, and that's heavily publicized, about the state of the prisons in America, where they're just packing them into the cells, and
Orange is the New Black. Yeah, check that out.
Yeah, it's a good series actually, but it also goes, they're cutting down on the quality of the food and the level of humane treatment that they get in the prison, and then they're used as basically as slave labor for the corporations.
They're making coffee cups for Starbucks, and you and I, I don't actually. I refuse to go to Starbucks for the simple reason that it is involved in the modern slave trade.
Yeah, the corporations are.
Did you guys know
Go on.
that the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which abolished slavery, contains an exception clause for prisons?
Really?
No, I didn't know that.
Yes. It is such that if you're in prison, they can actually treat you as a full-blown slave.
Wow, that's fascinating.
And they
the
do.
Land of the free, home of the brave. Land of the free, home of the brave. Welcome to jail. Now you're a slave.
Yeah, I thought the whole idea of going to prison was to be rehabilitated. It doesn't sound like that's going to help with the rehabilitation process. I mean, at the end of the day, they're turning American prisons into Chinese-style sweatshops. I mean, it's.
I have to say, I really blame Bill Clinton for that, with his 3 strikes and you're out policy. So that some kid smoking a spliff, for God's sake, nothing, smoking a bit of ganja, smoking something that grows out of the bloody earth, and he gets caught 3 times and he gets a felony. Is that not correct, Gary?
Well,
it's a felony the first time, depending on where you're at. And if you do it 3 times, that's life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Does life mean life in that sense, Gary?
Yeah.
So
it really does.
Well, you just said life means life without the possibility of parole, which means you can't get out.
The 3 strikes laws. 3 felonies and you're in prison forever.
That's right, and it could be something as trivial as getting caught with a bit of spliff on you.
That is torture. That's cruel. That's so wrong. There's nothing right about that at all.
And then
it makes the Chinese look benevolent. I mean, it doesn't make the Chinese look benevolent at all. Don't get me wrong. The Chinese the Chinese political regime is terrible, and I do not understand why we trade with it until they have a bloody election, frankly. However, I mean, the land of the free, as you said, Gary, it makes my heart cry to think that this can be the case. But the hypocrisy is just ridiculous, isn't it?
Well, this is the power of the corporate sway, I'm afraid. You know, it's all about profit and corporate influence, and we all know that the banks and the corporations have massively heavy influence with all the politicians. You know,
it's happening over here too in the UK.
You know, this is a problem because Trump is a businessman and he's, you know, runs a large corporation.
Whoa, he doesn't. We don't know that yet. Give it a few days. How long before we know Gary? How long before we know what Trump's really like?
We already know what Trump's really like.
Do we?
Yeah, completely untrustworthy on any given point. He will say every side of every issue, and then based on who he's talking to, he'll just pick one, and then when he's talking to the next people, he'll pick another one, and won't care if he's been on camera the whole time.
Oh,
yeah,
and he'll get away with it with his base. It's crazy.
I'm not expecting a great deal of you know, positive change, really.
I am. And if America doesn't get it, I wonder what's going to happen, because I think people are getting pretty desperate. And I don't think they're going to put up with another. I mean, 8 years ago, I can remember the day after, well, it was 8 years and a month or two. The day after Barack Obama was elected, I wrote on my timeline on Facebook, "Congratulations, America." It sounded great. Not because the guy was black. I didn't give a stuff what his color was, but because he promised hope and change. He failed. He failed to deliver that. Now, we really expected that some guy, you know, particularly a black man, frankly, we did not expect a black man to be an Uncle Tom, which is what he became, what he is, what his legacy will prove that he has been. Not a single day of peace. Okay, I'm going off on one a bit. I'll curtail this a bit. But with Trump, he's actually promising the same in a different way. His hope and change, his take on hope and change, which I think is a more proactive take, is drain the swamp. I mean, Barack Obama, he said it was no more Wall Street in the White House. And then the first thing he did was appoint somebody from Goldman or some other, you know, Wall Street bank to be his Treasury Secretary. That was the first thing he did. And the other thing he promised was no more lobbyists in the White House. Well, I mean, blimey, I mean, he has CNN by the balls, you know? I mean, it's just an absolute joke. Sorry, that CNN hasn't got anything to do with that particularly. But the lobbyist in the White House clearly hasn't worked either. So, but with Trump, he's talking about a similar thing from a different angle. He's saying drain the swamp. If he fails to deliver on that, and bearing in mind that it is in his contract with the American people, I think that's what it's called. It's in his contract with the American people for the first 100 days of his tenure as president of the United States, that he will start taking measures to drain that swamp. And that does include taking measures on lobbying, and that does involve taking measures on the influence of Wall Street. If he doesn't do that, surely he's not going to get away with it as easily as Barack Obama has.
Well, no, he's not.
I'm not sure that's the case.
They're going to be much harder on Trump.
Yeah, I mean, how many billionaires is on his cabinet list? You got Betsy DeVos, you got Steve Mnuchin, Andrew Pudzer, Scott Pruitt, Rex Tillerson of Texas. Oh my!
Well, yeah, the Exxon guy.
No, that's Steve Mnuchin. Sorry.
Does it necessarily matter that they're billionaires, though, Gary? I don't personally care what their wealth is. I care whether or not they're honest. I don't necessarily believe that all billionaires are corrupt. I don't necessarily believe that.
I do. I don't think you can become a billionaire in the modern world without being totally and utterly vicious and a sociopath and just prepared to tread on anybody in a brutal way to get what you want. It's just not possible. The world is so competitive these days. The only way you can ever attain that kind of wealth is if you're...
Maybe they made their money 20, 30 years ago, but then again, nothing was any different then, was it?
No, not a bit. So yeah,
do you think that all
Olly,
corrupt?
Olly, hang on.
Yeah,
Olly,
sorry.
lay out your plan for me for somebody becoming a billionaire in this day and age, or even 20, 30 years ago, honestly, completely honestly.
Okay, all right. What about Zuckerberg at Facebook? Unless it was all a big CIA thing, which actually I believe it was, and that Facebook is just a social engineering project. But you could argue, that Mark Zuckerberg is an example of a billionaire who made good innocently. You could argue that. You could also argue the contrary.
But they've made a film about it. They made a film about his life and how he set Facebook up. And if Hollywood makes a film about something as if it was true, I'm inclined to believe the exact opposite. It's like making a film about them taking out bin Laden in Pakistan. You know, if they make a film about it, the likelihood it isn't true.
Then again, The Matrix is a pretty good metaphor for this.
If they try and make documentary style films about what are supposed to be, in inverted commas, true events, then the likelihood is it's pure propaganda, and they're just trying to brainwash people into believing the official line. I personally don't believe that bin Laden was killed in Abbottabad in Pakistan. I don't believe the Navy SEALs went in and took him out. I don't. I think that's a complete fallacy.
Oh, Piers, Obama was appointed by God. I mean,
No, and then they make a film about it called what? Fahrenheit 9, Fahrenheit something, or not Fahrenheit. What was it called? I can't remember. But all about that, and I reckon it's pure, undiluted nonsense. And this is how they operate. If they want you to believe it, they make a film about it in Hollywood and tell you this is what happened, and they dramatize it, and it's all very emotional and what have you. And then people go, "Oh God, I can't believe it happened. That's amazing." And of course, they just feed into the official line. It's bollocks. In the same.
It's not. No, it's balls, mate. Come on. You can't use that word. Sorry.
That's not too bad. The word to use.
No, it's not too bad, but we have to be a bit careful.
You can say it on.
Can you say that? Can you say that, Gary?
We can say bollocks.
Oh,
right?
Can we say
British swear words? Yeah.
Bollocks.
The C word is not allowed.
Carried away now.
Either of the C words.
Okay.
We won't. We won't.
So, hang on, I got a question for you guys. I got a question here.
No, we're not going to do
that. But what I'm trying to say is this is the way the system works. They have an official line. I mean, who in this modern world truly believes bin Laden was killed?
Regular order. The gentleman will observe regular order and sit down.
I have a question. My question for you guys, getting back to the billionaires concept.
Yes.
Okay, even granting that it might be possible to become a billionaire, honestly, do you think that once you are a billionaire, you have a tendency to remain honest? Discuss.
Well, power corrupts, so they say, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, so they say. And if you've got £1 billion, you're seriously powerful. But, I don't know, Gary, is the answer to that, really.
So getting back to Mark Zuckerberg.
Well, okay, he was a bad example, probably.
Well, I think because they talk about his life as a CIA asset.
Okay, what about Elon Musk? Well, it was PayPal, wasn't it? I don't know. He set up
PayPal. He's not a billionaire yet.
Before Tesla.
They haven't made a film about Elon Musk yet, so maybe
Elon Musk must be a billionaire. He must be, surely.
Well, he set up SpaceX, so I'd imagine he's a billionaire. He
set up PayPal.
Yeah, no, he's a billionaire. No, absolutely he is.
He must be, because the amount of money they took off me one way and another.
Olly and I sat in some Teslas yesterday. They were quite cool.
Oh yeah.
We went into the Westfield shopping center.
He's a billionaire, all right. He's richer than Trump.
Yeah,
richer than Trump even claims to be.
Well, Trump's a bankrupt.
Trump's a serial bankrupter.
Yeah, he is. He's been bankrupt many times.
He's probably not even a billionaire, is he? He probably only went for presidency because he needed a job.
But he's not paying himself a salary. He's reneged on. He's doing what?
Yeah, but he's got a book deal sorted out.
He did what Arnold Schwarzenegger did when he was governor of California. He basically said, I'm going to basically. You don't have to
renege on
my salary. You don't have to pay me to do this. I'll do it out of
the goodness of his heart. You see, another godly creature. Gary, there's nothing to worry about.
Nothing to worry about? Oh, thank the heavens. I've been so worried.
When are we going to get the Obama
that's such a
story?
load off.
This is who's going to play Barack Obama? We're going to see who's it going to be? Who's going to play
Brad Pitt.
Brad.
Yeah, he'd do it.
Brad Pitt as plays Barack
Angelina
Obama.
Jolie can be his missus.
Michelle Obama.
Oh, perfect.
Good old Hollywood whitewashing.
Well, they just had an English actor play Michael Jackson, didn't they? They had Ray Fiennes' brother. What's his name?
Randolph.
No, not Randolph. He's the explorer.
Randolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
No. What's Ray Fiennes' younger brother called?
Miguel.
No. I forget. But yeah, he was
Joseph.
Joseph Fiennes.
Oh, you're such a thickie.
Yeah, and he's just played Michael Jackson, and I think the company who produced it have pulled it off the air because they got so many complaints. But
you know who would be the best possible actor to play Barack Obama in his biography?
Bill Cosby.
Oh. Oh,
Denzel Washington.
Don Cheadle.
Don Cheadle, yes.
No,
Actually, you're right.
Rush Limbaugh.
Jerry Springer.
Yeah, Jerry Springer can play Michelle.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. Don Cheadle would be a good one.
Who could play Joe Biden? Now, be careful, boys.
You
would have to be a Catholic priest.
You just have to put him in. Just have a gentleman in a suit and a straight jacket, surrounded by little kids, and just sort of make him squirm.
What are you suggesting, Piers? All allegedly, by the way. Sorry, Gary. Tell us. You just spin the allegedly line every now and then, and we'll be fine.
Exactly.
He just likes to lean in and kiss and whisper things to kids. That's all I know. I mean,
he's a lovely grandparental kind of a character.
Yeah, of course he is. Like, that's why I bump medals on him.
Sure.
Whenever anybody has a medal stuck on them, you can guarantee they're a crook. Okay, I mean, it's as simple as that. If they make a Hollywood film about it and it's supposed to be true, it isn't. And if they stick a medal on them, they've done something seriously wrong.
Well, either that or they're a puppet. Yeah.
Honestly, they give themselves awards. It's like Hollywood self-aggrandizement, you know.
Johnny Depp just got an award today.
He did, yeah. I think he lost. I think he lost half a stone in weight, and they thought they'd better give him an award for it because he was turning into really fat. Anyway,
What? Gary,
How much is a stone anyway?
It's about 14 pounds, isn't it?
I have no idea. I don't even know what a pound is.
I don't know how many kilos that is.
That's the British unit of currency.
Oh, thank you. Excellent. All right.
Glad I could help.
Is it? Oh my
I
God.
thought that was a quid.
Yeah, but I mean, awards and you know, it's like handing out knighthoods in the UK. They only do that to crooks. You know, it's like Cameron basically.
Crooks and paedophiles.
Yeah, basically, you know, Cameron knighted.
No reference to Biden there.
Everybody, you know, all around him, you know, got sort of knighted or some sort of honours, and it's such a crooked system, and it's basically, you know, if you've
not suggesting that Bill Clinton's a paedophile at all.
I mean, like no, but he is mates with Jeffrey Epstein. I think.
Nor Prince Andrew. God bless him.
But the system is designed, you know, to basically aggrandize those that have played ball and have kept their mouths shut and done all that's necessary in order to keep the establishment in place, you know. And then we're just fed a line, you know. We're fed this is the truth, and we're going to get these actors to play these parts, and we're going to dramatically and emotionally.
Bill Cosby would do a good job in that.
Represent. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Hollywood does come out with the Obama story.
Brad Pitt could play Michelle.
He's got broad enough shoulders.
No. She's not a man. She's not a man.
Whoa. Good Lord, people.
Probably a big enough.
Oh dear.
Sorry, we're probably going to get a lot of
complaints
about this.
Yeah, it's all allegedly. None of you are paedophiles, Washington people. We love you. We're so grateful for you taking out taxes and doing your duty.
Podesta is a nice man. He just goes to strange parties where they have women lying in vats of blood, and they all kind of.
Podesta rhymes with.
They use it as a sort of dip for their chips at the parties. You know, these naked ladies sat in vats of blood. It's all just a bit strange.
Do you think it's a coincidence that Podesta rhymes with molester? I'm just asking. It's a curious question.
Podesta the molester.
What is going on, Gary? What's going on? Pizzagate is just what I mean. What's going on with these executive orders?
I was going to say we're not even hearing about Pizzagate in the news anymore over here. That flash in the pan flamed out.
Do you think it's going to reappear after the inauguration, or do you think that's just been deemed too politically dangerous to be even touched?
I think it's being swept under the rug.
Yeah, which is
honestly.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to hear any more
He's
about
not wearing a rug. It's his own hair. And he just has, this funny quip.
Swept under the rug. Well,
it's actually a hamster strapped behind his ears.
Trump's toupee.
Yeah. It's a hamster.
He's going to lift up this flap on his head and all these secrets are going to come spilling out because they've been...
Like UFOs.
Yeah.
He's got a UFO base under his rug.
Area 52 under Trump's flap of hair. There's a reptilian base under his hair. It's all these reptiles are going to come creeping out. Do
you remember Total Recall? Gary, do you remember Total Recall, mate, where he's got that sort of alien beast in his breast sort of thing? That's probably what Trump is, isn't he? He lifts up his rug.
Quarto. Yeah, he's got Quarto in there.
Oh, yeah.
Open your hair. Open your hair, Trump.
Open your quiff.
Open your mind, Quaid. Open your hair, Trump.
Either that,
you'll get this sort of...
or he's got that fake head on. And
it's that character.
He's got that fake head like Arnold wore.
I think,
and he's gonna take it off and throw it at somebody as a bomb. And
yes, that's exactly what Trump's gonna do.
He's been inaugurated. He's gonna take off his head, throw it as a bomb, use that as a smoke screen to get out of there.
Well, he's like a traffic light. He was green, now he's orange, and he's gonna go red soon. And when he goes red, we know he's gonna take his head off and throw it at somebody, and then we're guaranteed.
That happened in Total Recall as well, didn't it? He took his head off and threw it, and it was a bomb. That happened in custom whatnot.
That's Gary
in
just
the customs station.
Oh, mate, Gary, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I know that we have the challenged on the podcast. And we just make certain allowances, and it's fine. It's fine. It's your safe space. You'll be good. Breathe. Trump is hitting the ground running 3 days after he's elected or inaugurated.
What, has he got some golf going on or what?
Yeah, did you know that Golf Digest has put up a magazine cover declaring him the golfer in chief?
But hold on, Barack Obama,
no end of hell for being the semi-occasional golfer. Yeah. And
now, 365 rounds during his presidency, apparently. So that works out at one every, 8 days? One round of golf every 8 days. Actually, you know what? It doesn't sound so bad, really, when you put it that way.
It's less than George W.
He took way less vacation days than just about any other president. Far less golf. Yeah, that's a totally overblown numbers in isolation kind of thing.
I remember George Bush being interviewed on the golf course, and the journalists were asking him some difficult question, and he just said, "Watch this drive." He's like basically told them to shut up by going, "Now watch this."
It was very cool, actually.
Despite
him being a complete arse.
But he's taken to painting, hasn't he, George W? And actually, I've seen some of his pictures, and they're not.
Yeah,
they're
he
not
paints himself
bad.
naked in the shower. It's weird.
He paints in the shower.
What? Lord?
Yeah, like himself naked in the shower. He paints himself naked. Yeah,
that is very peculiar. I mean, he is a very peculiar man.
He's definitely working through some psychological issues after the things that he did in office, for sure.
You're right, and I think it was pretty obvious when he was at the end of his tenure. I mean, he was really stressed out. I'll never forget when he said about the economy collapsing around him, "I can't believe this happened on my watch." I mean, he sounded like a pathetic child. It has to be said.
Don't you think it's rather interesting that both his parents are in hospital at the moment? It seems rather weird.
Herbert Walker.
George W. Senior and
who could play them?
Mr. Burns from could be Mr. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
What
all
were, what were the two
actors,
guys
I
in
mean,
the balcony
Peter
on the Muppet
Cushing
Show?
could have played it, but he's dead. Peter Cushing, or what was that chap, that American actor, horror actor from the 50s? And
Oh, Boris Karloff.
not Karloff, no. Not he did some movies with Peter Cushing actually. What was his
Crypt
name?
Keeper?
He did the intro to Michael Jackson's Thriller. You know, Darkness.
Vincent Price.
Well, Vincent Price, yeah, Vincent Price could
Oh.
play George W. Senior.
Or the Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt.
Oh.
Yeah.
In case anybody has the slightest idea what I'm talking about.
I was very fond of old Peter Cushing. I liked Vincent Price too, very much actually. He was funny. They were lovely, weren't they? I mean, these days we've just got Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, and that's it. I mean, what's going on? It's all gone.
No, there's a few more people around.
There probably are. But anyway, yes.
Get Morgan Freeman. We're still doing fine.
Could get Morgan Freeman to play George W. Senior.
Yeah, he could play Herbert Walker.
I think that would work.
He's used to playing the
trouble
president as well.
is,
he's always playing the president.
I quite like Morgan Freeman, and
I do.
I think he'd be giving too much of a sympathetic bent to. I mean, George Bush Senior was, pretty instrumental in setting up the CIA, wasn't he, in the first place? I mean, you were talking earlier on about some sort of Nazi link with the CIA, Ollie, and
Was I?
Yeah, you were. I mean, I don't know anything about that, but
Operation Paperclip, mate.
Well, can you expand upon that? What was Paperclip and?
Gary, I don't know if you know anything about this, but Operation
No, I
Paperclip?
have no idea anything about Operation Paperclip.
Oh, for goodness sake. Well, look,
I know about Operation High Jump, which was Admiral Byrd going down to Antarctica. And
Operation Paperclip was basically off the back of the Second World War. You remember the Nuremberg, well, you probably don't remember because you weren't actually around, but the Nuremberg trials was when they put all the Nazis on trial. And rather than see them all being hanged, the Americans decide, and rather, indeed, more to the point, rather than seeing Nazi talent, experienced people with some kind of a specialist experience, rather than seeing them being taken by the Russians and used for the Russian rocket program, they took these people into the US, they pardoned them, and they put them in charge to set up a rocket program for the United States, which became NASA. And they also set up something else, an extension of the SS, or rather a reincarnation of the SS, which is the CIA. And it's also very interesting that Prescott Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush's father, W's grandfather, was very involved with the Nazis during the war in funding and industry and stuff like that. And then it's his son later on. I don't know what involvement Prescott had with the CIA, although I suspect it was fairly instrumental. I imagine certainly his son, we know, was head of the CIA, was the bureau chief or whatever they call him, the equivalent of Comey, and then became president later on. But yeah, the CIA has a very, very nefarious, very, very dubious start to it under Operation Paperclip. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, it made sense to poach all the best scientists from Nazi Germany. I mean, that makes perfect sense.
Well, it didn't.
It did make sense. You know, you don't want the Russians getting their hands on these guys. It's
the NASA more so than the CIA.
But you're right. I mean, I think the pervasive Nazi influence has had a negative impact on the American military-industrial complex as a whole, and it may be for other reasons as well that we won't bother going into now. We'll have to do a different episode, but I know a lot of stuff about other influences that the Nazis may have had on the American military-industrial complex, which we can talk about in another episode. But it's not just about Paperclip, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. There seems to be many more layers to this. We can delve into this on another show when we're not talking specifically about Trump's inauguration and Obama's legacy. And
who's going to play Michelle Obama?
Yeah, and who's going to play Michelle Obama? Yeah. What about Lindsay Lohan? Lindsay Lohan. Hasn't she just converted to Islam or something? I've seen pictures of her wearing a avail, and wandering around sort of. I don't know. I mean, there's been all this tabloid press about Lindsay Lohan converting to Islam. Maybe she could play Michelle.
Oh, blimey!
Yeah, it's hard to really know what's going on with her in any given week.
She's going to have to curb her enthusiasm for men and women in general, I think. I mean,
maybe she should play Donald Trump. Because we don't know what he's doing from week to week either at the moment.
She's got ginger hair and he's got ginger skin, so that's sort of close enough, isn't it? I mean, that's.
She'd look good in a wig.
Yeah, I reckon. She. I don't know. Trump,
in an orange wig.
Maybe a merkin.
Yeah, she's certainly got.
Is that what Trump has on his head? It's a head merkin.
He's got a merkin. He's got a merkin. He's got a direct. He actually took a mold of his pubic hair. And that's what he has on his head. He turned it into a whatnot, and he's also put another one in his library, for when he gets out.
Wouldn't it? Don't you think it'd be a bit shorter and curlier? It's not this long.
He's got a lot going on down.
No, he's long and flowy down
there. Well, I know that your hair starts to grow longer when you get older.
Somebody grabbed him by the merkin, and it got all very long as a result. But
looking at your eyebrows, Olly,
plus
I see that hair grows sort of longer over when you get. I could flat Olly's eyebrows; they're so long. He's got aerials.
We're talking about Trump, not my bloody eyebrows. Gary, save me.
Gary, do you
all I'm saying,
your eyebrows?
All I'm saying is that Trump has a lot of room down there for the hair portion.
Yeah.
Just the flesh portion just provides a lot of room.
Yeah, I think
that's all. That's all I'm saying. He has space. There's nothing taking up all the rest of the space. So he's got plenty of space for the pubes. That's plenty of space. All I'm saying.
I think you're right. I think he grew his pubes long just to cover up the fact that he hasn't got much else going on down there. It's like.
Can we say pubes on the radio?
Yes,
we can. Just not in good taste.
I know. I recken he goes.
Which has nothing to do with the show.
I reckon he's bald as a coot down there. He probably inspired by his wife's. I don't know what she does, but I'm sure she's.
She don't ever want that in
full bush.
She might. I doubt it though, because she was a model, and models tend to go with either a landing strip or the full Hollywood.
I personally prefer a big old bush. I'm just. Oh no, I don't. I'm so pleased that Jeb didn't make it. Don't get me wrong. Hold on, David Bush that called us in a few weeks ago. If you're around, call in. And we're so pleased that you're not running for president. We don't want any more Bushes in the White House.
No. I think the days of the Bushes, any kind of bush, I think needs to be.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of bush.
Calling in.
Oh, I think, I'm dead against Bush. I think we should ban all bushes.
So speaking of calling in, 310-421-4053. Call in, everybody. Although we're coming up to the top of the hour here pretty soon, so we'll be needing to take a short break and listen to a few messages from our sponsors. But when we get back, we'll be talking more about Obama's legacy, the inauguration, and a little bit of information about the Dakota Access Pipeline protest at Standing Rock.
Yeah, quite right.
Wow, it's getting crazy up there.
Yeah, what were you saying? They've got missile launchers on the hill now, like facing the protesters.
Yeah, they have an Avenger missile launching platform up there.
What is that, Gary?
It's a surface-to-air missile platform.
Shouldn't that be
full-on, straight-up military hardware?
That is absolutely obscene. I mean,
shouldn't that be in Syria? Well, it shouldn't be there either. It shouldn't be there at all.
Wide camera drones. That's what this thing is there to shoot down.
Didn't you say that Trump's got some financial interest in this pipeline deal going through?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Trump's got financial interest everywhere.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see that once he gets
blind trust, but he's not. He's just having his family run it and meet with them every week.
Oh, well, so he says. Yeah, I mean,
You're both so cynical.
Well, no, I mean, we have every right to be cynical because every president has been elected. As you said, you were impressed with what Obama had to say when he first got elected, and absolutely none of which came true. I mean, the guy was about as ineffectual for the last 8 years as any president could possibly be.
Oh, he was wonderful. How can you say that? The world's at peace.
Hey, the guy won a Nobel Peace Prize. Come on.
That's like giving
It can't
Saddam
be all
Hussein the
bad,
Nobel
right?
Peace Prize, man. I mean, it's like, Obama. I mean, it's just extraordinary. Okay.
We're coming back, guys, aren't we, Gary?
And we'll be back just past the hour. Welcome back, everyone, to Jingly-Jangly on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. We're currently talking about many things. Probably what do you say we talk about Obama's legacy?
Yeah, okay.
Let's talk about, what is his legacy? What is going to be preserved? What is going to be destroyed? What should be destroyed that isn't being destroyed? What do we got? We got Obamacare. We got Chelsea Manning, Snowden,
Gary.
and Assange. Yeah.
I'm an Englishman. Tell me a bit about Obamacare. As if you were explaining it to a layman who knows very little about it. And what's your personal view on it? Do you think it was a good thing, or has it all been one giant con?
So, Obamacare was the idea that we would create a mandate for everyone in the country to buy health insurance, and in so doing, make it cheaper for everybody to buy, so that those who could not afford it under the just strictly private healthcare system would have the ability to be able to afford it, because it would theoretically cost less for everyone, because some 30 million more people were being brought into the system.
Right.
And so
hold on. Gary?
What's that? Yeah.
People were forced to pay, though, were they? I mean, what was it voluntary?
Yeah.
I mean, in a free society, presumably it was up to you whether or not you'd want to opt into this.
Well, yeah, but we are not a 100% free society. I mean, if you want to drive a car, you got to buy car insurance.
Yeah, but you don't necessarily have to have health insurance. I mean, you might be a nihilist or something.
Well, that's true.
Can you opt out of Obamacare in America?
You can, but there is a penalty for doing so.
Right. So is the penalty cheaper than actually paying the insurance itself?
Yes.
All right. So are a lot of people basically
depending, of course. There's part of the thing that was there to help the people of low income pay for their health insurance is tax credits that would make it, if you were right in the right zone of income, your health insurance could be like $2 a month.
Okay.
So yeah, so it wasn't as burdensome as people all want to make it out to be.
I've heard stories, Gary. I've heard stories of people saying that they were having to pay like $1,200 a month for their for their insurance, for their healthcare insurance, for the Obamacare or Medicaid. No, Obamacare. But then they say, but you know what? I couldn't afford that. I just couldn't afford it. It was that or the mortgage. And so I decided I'd pay the fine instead. I mean, doesn't that defeat the object? It sounds to me as though Obamacare itself is sick.
So it's obviously
you gotta hang on, guys. You got to take a look at that kind of story in the context of what we had before. Medicaid. Was that $1,200 policy $1,500 before Obamacare, otherwise known as the Affordable Care Act? Before Obamacare came along, you could be thrown off of your policy or denied coverage completely based on having any sort of pre-existing condition. If you got bursitis, you're not going to be able to get medical insurance in case you get cancer, because that's just how the medical system was set up before. The insurance rules were set up such that you could be denied coverage.
Well, you're at bad risk, aren't you? That's an insurance issue.
Right.
But that kind of isn't healthcare then, is it really? If you're going to be denied anyway. I mean, for example, let's compare this to the NHS in the UK, which is struggling, by the way. In fact, the NHS, one of their head honchos a week or two ago said that the NHS is having a humanitarian crisis. I mean, I think the guy was exaggerating slightly, but the fact is that the NHS is, desperately underfunded. Or you could argue oversubscribed. It kind of depends on your point of view. Or you could say they dole out some treatments which are silly, like people paying for sex changes and stuff like that, which you could also argue is not silly at all.
Now,
It depends on your
yeah, I
point
was
of
going to
view.
say that would be what I would argue is sex changes. Tell me
Well,
on
it's
this one
debatable,
particular
isn't it?
issue,
It's
is
debatable.
that the sort of thing that people would do casually?
Well, look, my point, Gary, is
Yeah.
is that
The NHS is publicly funded. I
It's-
don't think it is underfunded. It's just very badly run. And it could be streamlined and run far more efficiently, but it's bogged down in bureaucracy and middlemen paying themselves fat queens ransoms to do fuck all.
But as I understand
sorry.
it, Obamacare isn't healthcare. It's an insure. Well, it kind of is, but it's actually what it really is an insurance policy.
Right. It's an insurance regulatory regime is what it is. Some people get money to help them buy these insurance policies, but the insurance companies, in exchange for getting another 30 million customers, they've had to give up certain stuff in the negotiations.
Such as what?
They had to give up being able to deny people coverage for pre-existing conditions. That was a really, really big one.
Oh, that's a big one.
Give up.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
But they had to give that up, and what we gave them in exchange was 30 million new friggin' customers.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Which
a pretty
makes
fair
sense.
exchange.
That makes sense.
Right.
But
you never hear about that part, though.
No, that is a good point. That's a great point. But on the other hand, Gary, is it not the case that there are a lot of Americans who are not insured because they would rather pay the fine? I don't know. Maybe this is nonsense. Maybe this is more fake news. I don't know. I imagine there's some of it. It's a question of how much.
No. There were plenty of people who decided, you know what, I'd rather just pay the fine because it's cheaper, and I'm not going to make use of health insurance because I'm in my 20s.
Right. So
I'm in my 40s. I've been on the Affordable Care Act. I've been paying my premiums. I haven't gone to the doctor once.
Are you happy to be paying for it, Gary?
I really actually am, because of the fact that there are millions of people who would not be able to get health care, but now can, based on people like me paying into the system so that everybody can be better off.
Would it not just be a lot simpler? I mean, sorry to ask a silly question. If America was to stop waging ridiculous wars and spending $6 trillion in the course of about 10 years on probably illegal war, and instead put that $6 trillion into educating and health prescribing the population.
You know, you may have a point.
It's just an idea I got off the top of my head, you know.
I like that. Brainstorming. That's good. Let's keep that. Let's keep these good, fresh ideas flowing. I like that.
All right. Can I ask you this? What's Trump? Because Trump seems to have a bee in his bonnet about Obamacare. What's he planning on replacing it with? I mean, you know, the way you've described Obamacare to me, it makes me think that it's a reasonably good idea. Obviously, it may be flawed in some way, shape, or form, and that the tiered method of payment, depending on income, may be slightly unfair. But generally speaking, it, as you say, it's granting people who wouldn't otherwise be able to afford healthcare the opportunity to get healthcare. What is Trump actually proposing to replace this with, or has he not got a policy? I mean, I haven't heard.
Yeah. What is that, Gary? Do you know?
We have been waiting for the Republican Party and its members to come up with a replace portion of their repeal and replace plan for 6 friggin' years, and they've got nothing. So
I heard a rumor, Gary. I heard a rumor that there are going to be 4 to 5 executive orders enacted on Friday. So before he goes off for his golfing weekend, before taking the reins proper, Trump might sign a few, give away some pens. And if that's the case, might one of those be a surprise executive order, something to do with Obamacare?
Almost certainly. Who knows? He might just shut down the Affordable Care Act public health exchanges straight away, and suddenly people won't even be able to start signing up for health care anymore.
Well, that sounds frightening.
I have no idea
too.
what he... Doesn't it, though? He may not do that. He might. We don't know because it's Trump and he's a flake.
This is one of the stories of our times, isn't it? Because we're an aging population and the West is growing with an exodus from the East because, we're basically bombing them out of their houses. So they're, guess what, trying to find new ones. And,
So they're saying
our healthcare systems are just being crushed. Yeah. We really, really do need to talk about this more seriously because what we have with the NHS and what you have in the US, these systems are not sustainable.
No, and we're doing it to ourselves. That's the problem. With our bombing all over the world all the time. We're bombing people out of their own homes. And so they're saying, all right, well, if you're going to bomb my house, I'm going to come live next to you, and you're going to have to take responsibility for your actions and provide for me and my family since we had houses until you came along.
I think you put it well.
Now our house is flat. 3 of my children are dead. What do you got to make up for that?
I think you put it well. We need to wake up, don't we? The populations in the West, us peoples, we need to wake up to what we're condoning essentially through our...
But it's because of terrorism. It's because, the evil ISIS and evil Al-Qaeda and evil Bin Laden, these guys are all creations of the CIA.
Are you just doing an American accent?
I was trying.
I thought it was Welsh.
No, he was doing the lots of R's.
American, if you like.
American accent.
Let's do it. I'll be your co-pilot in America here.
Piers.
I don't know if my American accent is any good, but you'll just have to tell me to shut up if I'm not getting it right. But
tell him to shut up.
You're doing kind of a Huntington Beach bro kind of accent.
Huntington
mixed
Beach.
with a little Texas twangy R.
Yeah, I bet they all wear hunter boots and walk around in the nude.
We can take a date down south if you want. I don't mind. We can do that. We can talk proper date south if you want. I can,
Thanks, Boomhauer. That was great.
That was a Dukes of Hazzard.
I thought he was doing Boomhauer from I'm blanking on that show.
Look, I'm not going anywhere. See, I'm right here. I'm not gone.
pretty bloody good there.
That was an excellent Boomhauer.
That was a bit of Kevin Spacey at a House of Cards.
Where are my ribs? I want my ribs.
Now that was a good Kevin Spacey House of Cards shot. That was pretty good, actually.
Well, anyway, yeah, Obamacare. So that may or may not be a legacy, but it's kind of like not really going to be a legacy, is it? Because ultimately, it's not going to be Obamacare at all.
Although Obama has begged Trump not to mess with it, and I think Trump has said that until they have an alternative plan in place, they won't meddle with Obamacare. I don't know what. I personally don't think if there is an act, if any of these acts come through tomorrow, I don't think Obamacare will be meddled with. I think they'll leave that in situ for the time being until they come up with a recipe that's ultimately going to be better.
Already. The House and Senate both have already voted to repeal aspects of Obamacare.
They have, okay.
What aspects?
Already done it. The tax side of things.
The tax side.
Yeah, I'd have to pull up all the information, but yeah, there was already an Obamacare vote. They did it through a budget reconciliation process, so the Senate couldn't even filibuster it.
Well, the NDAA.
Yeah, that was.
It was. They passed it.
Right.
So I mean, what is the general consensus in the States about Obamacare? I mean, what's your general feel, your general take on what the majority of Americans feel about Obamacare and whether or not they think it's been obviously there are always going to be teething problems with any new massive project.
Right.
And obviously there will be discrepancies in terms of fairness, related to income. But what is the general impression that you've managed to sort of derive? I mean, just wandering around and talking to your mates and people in the street or whatever, are the majority of people in favor of it, or is it an America divided over this particular issue?
It is the millions of people that have health insurance now that would not have it if it weren't for Obamacare. Those people, you better believe they like Obamacare.
Sure. That makes perfect
know,
sense.
you're gonna have approval ratings in the high 90s among those people.
Out of interest, Gary, what are you paying per month for your Obamacare?
It depends on how many mileage tax deductions I have for the year, because
Yeah.
I do a lot of mileage driving around talking to people about solar systems and such. So I can, if I've got enough mileage deductions, I can actually get my income down to the point where it's $2 a month or up to maybe $100 a month. And
Oh, so
that's
that's
just
pretty cheap.
for
That's
me
pretty cheap.
or a healthy guy in my 40s.
That's pretty
Yeah, it's
cheap.
pretty.
Gary.
It ain't that expensive.
So
But
When
what
you start
about
talking
the
about
people who
when
are
you
in a
start talking about
higher tax bracket?
the mid-rate plans for your whole family, that's when things start getting more spendy. But that's how it was under the old rules anyway. And under the old rules, you might not even be able to get coverage
But do you think it,
at any
for the
price.
average middle American family, sort of middle income people, the middle class, if you like, do you think that they are finding that it's more cost effective under Obamacare, or ultimately more expensive, and with the fear of punitive charges if they don't actually adhere to the project? I mean, it's sort of, or is it?
So here's the thing. You've got in the middle income ranges, the price difference isn't that significant. Some people are saying, yeah, I'm paying more, but then you start looking at what exactly policy they're buying, because there's been a lot of stories, especially early on, about people buying these much better insurance policies than they had before and complaining about it costing more money. And it's ridiculous. And when you look at the details, they're like, oh, yeah, you have much better coverage now than you had before, so it costs more money because you're buying a better thing. A Cadillac costs more than a Hyundai. That's just the way of the world.
I get you.
So there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah, as
But
you said,
where things really start to get popular is when people start having pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, yeah.
That's where people start saying, so yeah, I had this pre-existing condition. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, I can now get health insurance and can therefore get health care. And so now I'm not dead from this disease I have.
Yeah.
Those people also really like Obamacare.
I have to say, Gary, if you're paying between $2 and $100 a month, then that's ridiculously cheap compared to what the British taxpayer pays. They pay something in the region. I think it's 11. No, what's national insurance now, Piers? 11%. Something in the region of 11% or maybe 13% of their salary goes towards national insurance, which is a lot more than $2 to $100 per month. So that does sound.
How much money you're making.
Pardon? Yeah, of course it does.
If you're making $20,000 a year, 10% of that is $200 a year. That's 180, 170 bucks, 160 bucks a month.
Yeah, that's right. But of course,
so it's a little more.
But it also has to be said though that such a modern taxation systems, it doesn't really work that national insurance goes towards your health care and your pension. It's supposed to go towards as well. It doesn't necessarily go towards that any more than your road
different
tax.
Now, isn't it?
Pardon?
Your 11%, 13% is going for both all of your medical care and your pension?
When it was, yes, it is. Yes, it is. It is, yes.
Well, then, come on. That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, but the pension is pretty paltry.
Something you need to know about my health plan.
It's all a bit murky.
It's garbage.
It's all a bit murky. It's a bit like, trying to get some accounts out of the Federal Reserve or the European Union, trying to get them to audit. In as much as
hold on.
You pay your tax.
What are you getting? Hang on, Olly. What are you getting for your money? When you get sick, do you have like out-of-pocket costs?
No.
We do.
What do you mean out-of-pocket costs? What sort of costs?
Well, just
co-pays, and there's a threshold of cost. When I go to the doctor, I got to pay the first like $250 or $500, and then the insurance that I have that's cheap covers up to 50% of the remainder.
Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. So every time
Yeah.
you go and see a doctor, you have to pay anyway, despite the fact that you're
Right.
supposed to be insured.
Exactly.
What,
So
and,
it's
and
like
you're
an-
only covered for 50% of the costs of the treatment afterwards. So
Yeah.
that's what you're paying
So-
for. So why is Obamacare such a bloody good idea then? It does. That's awful.
Because
Treatments
if I
in the
didn't
States
have
cost a
that,
fortune.
right.
I mean, if you
But
had,
if I didn't have it, it would be even more expensive for me.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, well, that's still a
And this is
terrible
why I
problem.
don't make use of it.
We really, 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 what we need to
Which is
do.
why
Surely.
you guys have hang on, guys. We're
Sorry.
talking over each other too much.
Sorry.
You guys, when you go to the doctor, it's all free.
Yes.
If we had that over here, it would be significantly more than 13% of our paycheck.
Why?
At least because medicine is more expensive over here.
Because Big
Because
Pharma
we
is
are
ripping people
ruled
off.
by the pharmaceutical industry.
Because Big Pharma is ripping people off.
Yes.
So surely that should be the issue, to tackle that. That's surely the priority, to tackle that. Big Pharma.
Yeah, and their
Good luck.
political
So
sway.
Obamacare is actually a red herring in a way. The first thing he should
Yeah.
have done is to say, you know what? I'm not going to let you charge 500 quid for an AIDS tablet. Yeah, that's what that guy's doing, isn't it? He's charging. He bought the rights to the pill of AIDS treatment, and now he's charging about 1,000 times more than it cost originally. Before he bought the rights.
It was $13 a pill. He jacked the price up to $750 a pill.
We need to be tackling that issue first, surely.
Mhm.
That is obscene. And
But
who are
nobody-
these people
nobody
to have
talks
the
about
rights
that
to,
part.
to there's a lack of humanity going on in Big Pharma here.
Massively. But I
In
mean,
all corporate organizations.
what Trump noises? He has been talking about Big Pharma, but I can't remember what he's been saying. I mean, he been saying things about Big Pharma needing to be more accountable for bringing humanity back into healthcare. I mean, I don't know whether it's just all hot air or whether he has actually said anything like that. I'm sure he has mentioned Big Pharma, but I'm not entirely sure in what perspective, what context he's been talking about it in. But it sounds to me that this is the
helium balloon kind of aspect of it.
squeaky noises. Yeah, but yeah, you're right. I mean, it does sound that the power grip that the pharmaceutical industry has on healthcare in general in the States is the primary problem and issue that I mean, if they reduce they'd still be making vast profits if they cut everything in half in terms of price and cut
it in half, cut it right down.
Which would mean that people wouldn't be liable for wouldn't be liable for half the costs of their treatment. It would be significantly less. It's not all about profit. Humanity has to be brought back into the recipe. But the trouble is, these big corporations have shareholders and quarterly statements, and they don't want to reduce profit. They want to maximize profit. And you shouldn't have that. There's a sort of dichotomy of interests, especially where you're dealing with something like the healthcare. And this is obviously something that needs to be addressed. It's appalling that
why
just the pure greed and gluttony of corporations is the greatest systemic problem the modern world faces.
So that is why we need to remove the profit motive from certain things that we do in our society, and that's the reason why we have government.
Yes.
But yeah, you can for the price of a hip replacement here in the United States, you can move to Spain for a year, learn to speak Spanish, get your hip replaced twice, and then come back home for the same price.
Why would you want to do it twice?
In case you need the other one done.
Well, just get the other one done while you're about it. Do one and get the other free.
Buy one, get one free.
They don't do that off. I think if you buy two, you get an extra free. And then you can have
a third hip replacement. Nice. Then they start getting into your shoulder.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The cost of healthcare and treatment in the States is absolutely absurd. We
need single payer, full stop.
I would.
That's all we need.
Gary,
Medicare for everybody.
I just want to say, because I don't want to mislead anybody, one thing that it needs to be, we should all be aware of, is that we, for example, in the UK, we put money into what we call national insurance, and so that's this percentage, about 11% or 13%. I think it's about 13% now.
I'll look it up. I'll look it up.
We also, of course, pay tax, regular tax, income tax, yeah. And then we pay other taxes as well. My word, there's a lot of them. Yeah, service tax and all the rest of it, of course.
Yeah, but you get value for your dollar.
Yeah, but my point, Gary, my point is that in reality, the amount of the UK budget that goes towards healthcare, the entire chancery income that goes towards healthcare every year is about 1/3. It's about 25%. I think it's about 25%. Yeah, I think it's about a quarter.
So,
it's a lot of, it's a huge chunk. It's the biggest chunk of the budget. It's bigger than the military. It's bigger than education. It's bigger than anything else. And so I just wanted to point that out.
Not here.
In reality,
13.8%.
Okay, it's 13.8%. Piers has just looked up, is our national insurance. But then you've got your national insurance, your income tax, which is 25% or maybe 20% if you're very low income, or it could be 40% if you're higher income, what have you. So anyway, the reality, as is the case with your, for example, your car tax, you pay that and it doesn't all go into the roads. It goes into other things as well. It's the same deal with your national insurance. It's all a big pot of cash. And then you get your healthcare being paid for out of that. So the actual figures, it's very, very difficult to know exactly what they are. It has to be said. But yeah, we do have a working NHS in the UK
although it's under immense stress.
It is under immense stress.
We do have an enormous amount of people coming into the country just deliberately to use our free healthcare system.
Health tourism.
Health tourism is a booming industry in the UK. People come over to have babies in the UK just so they can use our free healthcare system, or have operations, Yeah,
but we could do things to change that if we wanted to. It's just that for some reason they don't. But it would be easy enough to ask people if they're gonna, if they're coming into the country, or if we're not sure, to ask them for a proof of residence. And if they haven't got a proof of residence, say to them politely, well, you know what, you're going to pay for this. I'm really sorry, but we can't encumber the British taxpayer on people that aren't paying into the British Chancellery. But,
no, that's fair. If you're not paying taxes, you don't get the free stuff that stems from paying taxes.
Well, unless you're not paying taxes, but you are, for example, a British citizen, and maybe you're handicapped or what have you, and you need some help, and we should be looking after it.
If you were in a better financial situation, you would be paying taxes.
Yeah.
Therefore, you get to participate as a citizen. But the health tourism, coming over and taking advantage of the free health care, it's not
helping. Yeah, not helping. Yeah.
It's not helping at all. No, I mean, these are. I mean, there's a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, I think we've nailed it. Really, Obamacare is a semi-good idea. But it's not the full Monty.
It needs a lot of work.
It needs a lot of work, and what really needs to be done, and I don't think Donald Trump will deliver.
Just like other things need work.
Well, Donald Trump, to me, is a friend of the big corporates, isn't he? I mean, he's the big corporates. He's the big corporates, so he's going to have their interests at heart. So that will mean that the pharmaceuticals industry won't have to reduce costs, won't have to reduce profit margins in order to be able to, run their businesses. I mean, that's ultimately what needs to happen. They need to massively reduce the overall price of drugs.
Okay, but Obamacare's one thing, but we don't know whether or not that's going to feature in Obama's legacy as such. Whether it's going to be a fudge, whether it's going to be a start, or whether it's going to be a kind of like a fizzle out kind of a thing. We don't know that. We don't really know what that's.
Other things that will be part of his legacy are his treatment of whistleblowers. Now that has
Chelsea
been
Manning.
Nuts. Chelsea Manning's sentence has been commuted.
That is extraordinary. I was not expecting him to do that.
Why did he commute it and not pardon him?
Because he didn't want to. But the
what do you think the motivation?
The douche move that he did, however, was he left 4 months on Chelsea Manning's sentence.
Why? Why did he do that? He's not out till May, is he? Why?
Yeah, because Obama didn't want to take heat for it, I guess. He's going to take heat for it, but he wanted to just say, yeah, you're going to get out.
Oh, well,
But let's make you wait 4 more months.
So let me get this right. This guy releases. He didn't release Abu Ghraib, did he? That wasn't him, but he did release the equivalent documents that basically showed that we were torturing and waterboarding, for example, in Guantanamo. 90,000 documents.
The main one.
Go on.
The main one that Manning released was the video of the Apache helicopter gunning down journalists in Iraq.
Yeah, I saw that.
Laughing while they did it.
Yeah, they're saying like, I'm going to get me some. Yeah, that's right. And
insane.
Yeah, it was insane. I saw that on WikiLeaks, and I couldn't believe it. It was brutal.
Next week they'll be doing that in Atlanta over CNN HQ.
Oh, they're going to be doing it at Standing Rock. They already got the missile launchers.
That's crazy. I mean, the way the things that are happening. I mean, yeah, it's not looking like Donald's going to be a great bag. I mean, like I sincerely hope he proves all of us wrong. But at the moment, the way it's gearing up, rocket launchers and Trump's potential, personal interests.
Hold on. The rocket launchers are placed there under Obama's tenure, not Trump's.
True,
right.
but
he's not going to tell him to get lost.
Well, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know.
He's going to. One of the things he's going to do, he's going to approve that pipeline. Straight up, full stop.
But he might change the route,
possibly as early as Monday.
He could change the route slightly if he wanted to, couldn't he? I mean, is that not really the issue? Because they're wanting to build this thing.
It's not cost effective to change the route. It'll cost them
pipeline is built.
$100 more.
Yeah, but the fact is they're building this thing. Sorry, Gary. Sorry.
The pipeline is built. All they got to do is tunnel under the Missouri River, and they may have already dug the tunnel. We don't know because they've been stopping our camera drones from filming too much. But they got the horizontal drilling rigs all set up, and they've been active. They just haven't built the pipeline under there yet.
Okay, so the reason that they've put those rocket launchers there is so they can shoot down drones because they don't want the pictures on the social media.
Exactly. They're not going to take drones out with those rocket launchers. Those rocket launchers could take out a jet. I mean, like.
So what is that? Why are they using rocket launchers? It's like using a great big thing a sledgehammer to crack open a nut.
They're apparently using it because they have optical capability.
It's intimidation is what it is.
It's intimidation.
They're bringing out the literal big guns.
That doesn't sound very Obamacare-ish. I'm just saying.
Well,
Obama doesn't care.
Obama's over. He's gone.
No, he's not. He is responsible for what's going on in America at the moment. He's there till tomorrow. And I don't understand why somebody who reckons he's a social warrior is putting, surface-to-air missile launchers against protesters who are protesting against a pipeline being built through ancient Native American burial grounds. I mean, they've got a fair point.
I don't think it's burial grounds. It's just native land. They don't.
No, it's burial grounds.
It is burial grounds.
It is burial grounds. It's also 200 bodies of water.
Yeah, that's right. And they're worried about the pollution aspects.
Being built by a company that has had over just shy like 295 pipeline leaks in the last 5 years in North Dakota alone.
Yeah. They're worried about water pollution and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Really? My word, Gary.
Yeah. 295 in the last 5 years in North Dakota alone.
That's outrageous.
So just going back to Chelsea Manning. I mean, why do you think he did, say that he could come or she could come out? I mean, like I don't quite see the motivation.
There's been a lot of social media pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, you and I know, Gary, have both been posting about Chelsea.
We're not the only ones.
And actually, one thing that curiously flummoxed me a little bit is, because Obama has been a warmongering president in the sense that, there have been so many wars going on, well, almost in perpetuity since he got in power. And then right at the sort of the 5 to midnight moment, he and Kerry say, actually Israel's only going to function if it recognizes Palestine and proper and correct borders are drawn up, and the two states exist and cohabit, in close proximity, which to me sounds like an extraordinary sort of contradiction in terms of the way they've been operating for so long, and then suddenly at the 11, at the 1 minute to midnight, they changed. They're sort of coming out with these humanitarian type of statements, which
this is a serious pet peeve of mine.
Yeah,
this makes me absolutely crazy, and I see it all the time. What this is people making their fortune, causing unimaginable damage to the world, and then when their time and power is coming to a close, they're wanting to buy their soul back. That's really all it is. You see this with retired generals. You see this with retired Republican leaders. They're all, once they've retired and are resting on their laurels, then they're like, oh, yes, yes. And these Republicans, they're doing such terrible things. What about the things you did? These other Republicans that are what we're trying to focus on, they're doing terrible things. Never mind what I've done. Let's talk about those guys over there and make me look good. It's Glenn Beck is one of the worst for that. That guy's
it's gross hypocrisy, isn't it? I mean, it's like
making your money and then trying to buy back your soul.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely the perfect way of putting it. And it just struck me as a very odd and out of character. And why couldn't they have done that, midterm or at the start of his term, and say, look, we need to get into some serious negotiations here, draw some borders up that everybody's happy with, and be done with it.
You're talking about Israel, yeah?
Yeah, I'm talking about Israel, yeah, and Palestine, yeah. I mean, like that situation, hasn't been addressed properly. Netanyahu's been able to get away with murder, and obviously Hamas the hatred between Palestine and Israel is just so palpable. And
between factions within both. I mean, I don't believe that the average Palestinian feels animosity to the average Israeli, but I'm sure that they feel tremendous animosity towards the Israeli government, and vice versa.
Well, yeah. Okay.
I mean, if they really bother to think about it, I know that there is a big contingent of ardent, if you like, right wingers in Israel. I actually was with an old friend of mine in a pub today who pointed out, when we were discussing this with another friend of ours, a very, very close friend who's a Jewish chap, and this chap, he said, I know a lot of Americans who've gone to Israel, American Jews, and actually they are the ones that are really, really big problem, because they go over there and they think, we rule the roost. We're going to take whatever land we want off the Palestinians. And he reckons it's the American Jews that are the biggest problem. I don't know. That's just something I heard today in the pub from a guy whose view I tend to trust, because he's a pretty learned character. And I don't know, Israel, blimey. Anyway, whether or not, but yes, Kerry made that big speech. Too little, too late. Sounded pathetic. It was a great speech. He said the right things, but my God, he should have said it 8 years ago. I don't care if he wants to buy himself a moral compass now or whatever he wants to do. As far as I'm concerned, they failed. But sorry, I had a rant there, bit of a rant.
All right, what else has Obama done that might be classified as legacy?
Is he going to pardon Hillary?
How many pardons is he actually allowed to do? I thought, is there a limit?
As many as he likes.
Can he?
As many as he likes.
But I mean, Trump doesn't have the right to turn around and say, "Oh, sorry, this isn't going to happen." He has to sort of honor whatever the president leaving basically agrees to, whoever's sentences he commits. I mean, there's no way Trump could turn around and say, "Actually, Chelsea, you're not leaving prison. I've changed. Obama's left now. I'm in charge, and you're staying."
He cannot do that.
No, he can't. Okay,
it's been commuted. It's commuted.
Okay. Well, in which case, yeah, it does. As you say, I think they are trying to buy back their souls, and it's grossly hypocritical. And it just shows what puppets they really are. I mean, this is what it really flags up. I think maybe Obama might have wanted to do more good than he was actually capable of doing, because he had his hands tied,
But he had his hands tied.
But he had his hands tied.
But he didn't struggle against those bonds nearly as hard as he could have.
No, you see, well,
I don't know. He's got two very lovely daughters. He probably didn't want to see him come to any harm. I mean, everybody's talking about Trump being taken out. Yeah, I mean, we saw what happened with JFK. We know what happened with Lincoln, and it's 3 U.S. presidents indeed. And it's
yeah, you're right. If you try
there
and
is
do
a
the right
there
thing,
is a
that
serious threat.
you try and do the right thing, you get taken out. I mean, that's basically the way it works in American politics. JFK was, definitely trying to fight the Fed and
Well,
and
we
do
think that he was,
yeah, and then
he
the
said
CIA took him out. I mean, like, or the FBI, or I don't know, whoever. Well, I think it was the CIA, wasn't it?
I
mean,
do wonder that about Obama, because I agree. I think that I don't know. I'd like to think he was a good man who basically had his hands tied. But on the other hand, I also think, how could somebody who is a bright man, he is a bright man, how, even if he's, needs an auto cue or what have you, he is a bright man. How can somebody who is bright put himself in a position where he would in any way whatsoever put his family at risk? And that's what he effectively did. Or he would sell out. He would sell his soul for the military industrial complex that Eisenhower told us about. And that's what he's done. He sold himself out.
well, he's also made hundreds of millions in the process. I mean,
I don't know about that.
Yeah,
we don't know.
He has. He's left office an extremely wealthy man.
We don't know
he
that
has,
for sure.
He has.
It's alleged.
He's bought houses all over the world, luxury.
Even if he hasn't,
villas. You don't do that unless you've got. He has.
Hold on. Even if he hasn't, he's going to make a ton of money once he leaves office.
Yeah, that's right. He is. That's
absolutely what he's been setting himself up for.
I think that's more the point. But
right, like it'll be the Obama Foundation, the Clinton Foundation all over again.
Yeah, but the fact is, American presidents are puppets, and they're controlled, and they don't really have any real power. They're voices. On the television and radio,
Yeah.
They read the lines and they do. That's
Obama is more like an actor than any president we've seen so far.
Yeah. He's a very good actor. He's very charismatic. He's eloquent. He's articulate.
He could play himself, but I think that Brad Pitt would have to play Michelle.
Yeah, we've done that gag.
Sorry.
Yeah, we've done that gag to death.
Sorry.
But I don't like Donald Trump. I think he's an odious man. But what's so interesting, from a
why do you think he's odious?
Well, just let me finish. I mean, I just think that what's interesting is just how much control he's going to be under. Is he going to be just another thing of the same thing? Another controlled president where he won't be able to do anything, and basically the establishment that's always been in place will basically get their claws into him and dictate what he says and does? Or does he actually have any real independent remit? If he does, then that is interesting. And I'm not saying that what he'll do with that independent remit will necessarily be for the benefit of the majority. However, if he does have a little bit of sway for the first time in decades, you might end up with a president that can actually be presidential and lead. Then that is interesting. And the fact that there's been this sort of media storm against Donald Trump makes me think that he is to a degree a far more greater unknown quantity than any other previous president. Whether they be Democrat or Republican.
That's a good point.
Yes.
This is in itself is quite interesting.
Say that point again, because I wasn't listening the first time. No.
I take heat for it earlier. I see how you are.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do, but maybe he might genuinely have some presidential power. And I don't think Obama had really any presidential power. I don't think George W. had any presidential power. I don't think Bill Clinton really had any presidential power. I think they were all working for the same people, and the agenda never really changed. These were we had president after president that would promise the world, and then basically everything stayed exactly the same. And let's face it, that is what has happened over the last few decades. And now we've finally got a man who has somehow managed to get elected when nobody expected that to happen, in the same way that nobody in Europe expected Brexit to happen. These two miracles, if you like, if you want to call them that in a perverse way, these two miracles.
Brexit isn't anything perverse. It's wonderful. Hurrah! My God damn it, how dare you say that? My God, we want our sovereignties, our sovereignty.
Yeah, Olly,
individual.
Olly.
Sorry, excuse me.
No,
yes.
yeah, but nonetheless,
The
it was-
individual person deserves a say, and we are not getting that with the EU. And excuse me, I just wanted to say that, make that point. Blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, but
blah.
it was still a miracle that nobody. It was a miracle in the sense
was
that
a miracle that
nobody
we were-
expected it to happen. No, nobody expected Donald Trump to get elected. Nobody expected Brexit to happen, and yet these two things happened last year. They're the most significant events of 2016. The fact that Trump got in, and the fact that Brexit actually happened.
Well, it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened.
Well, it hasn't happened
no,
yet.
No,
Well,
no,
Trump's
We've
not-
voted for it. That's what's
We
happened.
voted for it. It hasn't happened yet. We can only hope that it does.
Yeah,
And-
well, it'll be a civil war if it doesn't happen. I'll tell you, I'm digging my trench, and it's already pretty bloody deep.
yeah.
How deep?
Sorry. Well, it's not very deep actually. But I bought a shovel, and I'm considering starting to dig. I might build a pipeline.
Well, all I'm saying about Trump is
Rich,
that
you do.
he could be the first president in ages that might actually have some independent presidential power. I don't know if that's going to be the case. I cannot say that with any degree of, I don't know.
Just say that again. He might be the first
President in decades that's had some real presidential power.
that has real presidential power. Wow, Gary. What? But that could be something, eh?
It could be. It might not be.
What is he the type of person that he will be inclined to do with that power?
That's a very good question.
He wants to grab some pussy.
Golden bathtubs for everybody.
Do you think he's got cigars in the White House already on the go? No, sorry. Okay, we're not going to talk about Bill Clinton at all.
Okay, legacy-wise, but Obama. I saw this picture of a bronze statue of Obama that he's apparently planning on leaving in the Oval Office. This big, almost life-size, imposing bronze of Obama.
Fake story.
Was that? I'm assuming it was fake news, but
he's
it
replaced Churchill with himself.
It did make me laugh. It's quite a stern-looking, bust, bronze of Obama.
Has he got a big bust?
I'm almost imagining that Obama's going to leave this literally sort of next to the Oval Office desk. so like Trump will have to like stare him down all the time. It's like so he's probably got his finger erect, going.
Yeah. Donald Trump will just drape it in an American flag. It's like.
Yeah, and put a cross on its back.
He'll use it for target.
They say that's how fascism will come to America, draped in the flag and carrying the cross.
I think you're both so cynical.
Well, I sincerely hope you're
Thank
wrong.
you, Olly.
I really do. I long for
one of the best compliments people like us can get.
I long for a change in the world that's basically going to help everyone, and I just wish that people would listen to the likes of Ron Paul and Rand and ask them to just stop the military-industrial complex, trying to take over the bloody world. It's.
Are we going to have any change because part of Obama's legacy is eight separate incursions, military incursions, and no peace whatsoever. Not a single day of peace. And Ukraine and Libya and Syria.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is his legacy, as well as other things, LGBT, marriage, equal rights and all that. Cuba, good news there. But Ukraine, Libya, Syria, trumps all that. Trumps the lot.
Well, except for the Iran nuclear deal, that was one good one.
I think it was. But
He does need to get credit for that.
Yeah,
Iran is not going to have nukes for a very long time.
Gary,
and that was a good plan.
Gary,
yeah.
Have you heard this rumor? Not that I'm, there's a rumor that's been going around that the reason that nuclear deal came about, or rather that deal came about, and the exchange of money in exchange for, prisoners, which was a first for America, basically to negotiate with terrorists, if you like.
It's not the first in America, not by a long shot. Reagan was the negotiator with terrorists in chief.
What, off the bat? Okay, fair enough. But the question I had, that's cool. The question I had was really, I've heard a rumor that the Iranians, they have this brilliant scientist, I can't remember his name offhand, but they've got this brilliant scientist who has come up with a weapon, or like an anti-weapon. It's some kind of a thing that can shut down weaponry. So, for example, you've got your, USS Starbucks or whatever it is out in the Gulf of Eden, and it's
I love it.
It's getting a bit it might as well be called that, eh? It might as well be called that. And it's getting a bit close to the Iranian shoreline or something. And so what they can do is they can kind of EMP it. They've got this weapon that effectively has that capacity. I have heard that that is the case. It may be wrong, but it would make sense of Obama's Iran deal. I'm not saying the Iran deal was necessarily entirely wrong. I want to see peace with Iran. I think that, what we've seen has been silly, as is the case with Russia right now, which shows a hypocrisy in the Obama administration, by way of an aside. But I don't know. Have you heard anything about that?
I'll tell you one thing. That one of the
I asked a question. You got an answer?
No, I haven't heard anything about scientists in Iran who can make EMPs that'll shut down a battleship. I have not heard about that.
The battleship did get shut down. One of the
It has
American.
actually happened.
There was a new ship, just commissioned. I don't know if it was an aircraft carrier or a battleship, but I think it was an aircraft carrier, and it was in the Gulf and it basically just stopped working. The power got cut from it, and it just was floating there, unable to fire itself up and get going again. And maybe that was the result of some sort of electromagnetic.
It did. I
pulse.
thought that at the time. I read that story or saw that story.
Yeah, exactly.
I did wonder that actually. But
I think the technology for that sort of thing does exist. I also believe that. I don't believe there will be a war. I think a lot of it's just ridiculous posturing. And,
what, with Russia, you mean?
Yeah, I don't think the
American troops are amassing on the Polish
but
border.
I don't think that'll result in
and
war.
The German border.
I think it's
the problem there is that Trump is so unstable. He may not mean to let anything happen, and neither will Putin, because neither of them actually want war, but they might just flub it and end up that we go to war anyway. That's a big fear.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't. I really genuinely don't.
Here's hoping.
And I have reasons for saying that, but I'm not going to go into those reasons now. But I genuinely don't believe we're going to see war. I genuinely do believe there
he's going to get into UFOs if we're not careful.
But I genuinely do believe there are forces for good that are helping to mitigate the risks that humanity faces at the moment in order to give us the chance to learn more of the truth about the nature of reality and our the real history of humanity, from the ancient past right up to the current day. I do believe that we are on the verge of revelations, and
we'll talk about that maybe in a week or two when we talk about the CIA alien document dump that happened this week.
Yes, absolutely.
As we begin to find out more about that, we'll have a show on that for sure.
Good on you, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to get Laura Eisenhower on. I emailed her today, and she said she couldn't come on today, but she said she might be available next week. And Laura knows a lot about this. She is very well versed in all this sort of stuff. And if we can get her on the show, then we could do a whole show on this subject matter, and apply her with questions, and she'd be able to very articulately answer a lot of stuff about this, and yeah, she knows an extraordinary amount, and it'd be great if we could get her on. I mean, it would be fantastic.
We didn't get any call-ins giving us their odds on whether or not Trump's going to get assassinated yet, did we? Come on, I mean, what's more likely? Is he going to get assassinated, impeached, or is he actually going to get to run a full term? It's a curious question, no?
He's going to get impeached. But it won't be until after 2018.
Did you ever hear, Gary? Did you ever hear of a president-elect or a candidate even? Because the talk was on then, before he was elect. Have you ever heard of somebody in that position, their impeachment being discussed before they even attain office? I didn't.
No, but there has also never been a president with as low an approval rating upon assuming office as Trump currently has.
According to who? What approval rating according to who? I mean, do you believe the approval rating of Barack Obama?
This is the polling they do for this over and over and over again.
Is
So
this
it's the
CNN
same polling.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the same polling that they check for, Bush Senior, Bush Junior, Obama. Now it's for Trump. It's the
who
same polling.
conducts the polling?
He has the ridiculously low approval rating.
Who conducts the polling?
Who controls the polling?
Who controls it? I don't believe polls any more than I believe in the European Union. I mean, come on.
Well,
I mean, they said, oh, you're not, you're never
polling-
going to leave the EU because everybody wants to stay in, bar just a few fascist, radical, kind of Nazi, xenophobes. And the same kind of deal with Trump. Oh, he won't make blah, blah, blah. Polls all say Hillary's leagues. Oh, yeah. You know what? Oh, yeah. You know what? It didn't have, the polls are a lot. I'll tell you what, they might as well be a rating agency giving a AAA rating to junk bonds for Greece. I mean, what a load of cock. Yeah? I mean, really?
It could be. I don't know. But this is the world we live in these days. We don't know what to trust. We don't know what to believe because everything we're given could be a lie.
Everything's fake. We spread fake news, people.
Yeah.
Well, please get off of the
Don't
fake
believe
news
a word
thing.
we've said for this
Just
entire show.
Spread critical thinking. Spread critical thinking everywhere you go.
Oh, no.
That's so vitally important these days.
It is. Think outside the box, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, still be positive,
So-
for goodness sake. Because
So what have we discussed today, guys?
what have we
We
learned?
got Obama's legacy with Obamacare, with the whistleblowers, with his promise of no lobbyists in the White House that nothing ever came of. He's probably going to preemptively pardon Hillary so that she'll never be prosecuted for any of the stuff that she's done. What else do we got?
I don't know, but I'm going to have to go down the pub to recover in a minute. I'm
Yeah.
in London. I'm going to have to sink a few pints just to,
We've already had a few pints.
I
today.
might have to have a pint. I did have a few pints earlier, but, I'm going to, I'm in London town.
I don't think Obama. How long has Obama got to? He can't commit Hillary or forgive Hillary because she hasn't been found guilty of anything yet.
No, he can. Presidents have the power to issue a preemptive pardon.
Really?
Yeah.
Gary, we love you, man. This has been Jingly-Jangly. Gary.
All right, guys. This has been a production of Jingly-Jangly on Revolution Radio on freedomslips.com. I'm Gary Branson with Piers Garnham in London and Olly Connolly currently sitting on Piers's couch. Stay tuned for Mike Harris on the short end of the stick.